Well, hello everybody. Hope everyone's doing well out there. We're on live stream number 4, so welcome to lesson number 4. I did get a new ukulele today. It's slightly out of tune, and yes, it is white. The joke when I bought it is I probably should be wearing a white suit as I'm playing it, but definitely liked it. Atlantic High, that sort of stuff. Any questions? We can certainly talk about that later. So yeah, we're doing it. Let's see. Hopefully my microphone is working. A little bit of an issue during the video part, and yeah, let's move on. Any issues hearing it? Certainly let me know. We can certainly figure that out. And here we go. So today we're talking about scales and key, words that you'll often hear. Scales, obviously probably conjures up someone in Juilliard playing piano for hours, which makes sense. And key, you'll hear people often use the term, I don't like that key. That song's not in a good key. It's in the key of this, the key of that, right? The key of songs in the key of life. So we're going to be talking about scales and keys, why they're super important. You already know one key, which is C major. It's the ones that we've been talking about. We'll talk about the big 4 and all that good stuff. And yeah, a lot of stuff to learn today. So warning, this is my promise to you. Scales might be boring, but they're super important. And even if you're not worried about flying up the fretboard, learning your scales will help unlock so many things musically, whether it be singing harmony, understanding chords. So even if you're not learning your scales to completely shred up the ukulele, learning how to do your scales is a super valuable skill. So even though it's boring, it is super important. So, question, why learn your scales? Scales are the building block of music. We're going to talk about a C major scale today, super important scale. And the other thing, and I didn't realize this until college, the professor said, why should you learn scales? And I'm like, oh, well, it's the building blocks of music, this and that. And the professor also said, yeah, you could also practice all the things that you're practicing while doing scales, because it should be an easy pattern going up, an easy pattern going down. So if you want to be either working on playing single notes, working on your tone, working on your sound, scales are an excellent way to do that. So they're the building blocks of music, number 1, and it helps your, just your everyday playing, your everyday sound. Okay, and so we got some vocab today. So what is a scale? So a scale is a set of notes, and it could be any set of notes. If you wanted to have a 2-note scale, I guess you could argue you could have a 2-note scale. Some people would say that you couldn't, but it's any set of notes. If you wanted to have a chromatic scale, right? Basically all the white keys and the black keys on the piano, that could be a scale. If you wanted a minor pentatonic, right? You could have that. And but often when we think about scales that are related to the music that we're playing. So we're going to talk about our C major scale today. You can think about that as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You can think about that lots of different ways. And what is key? What is key? And that's a good question. And again, you'll hear people say, I don't like the key of that song. The key of that song is too high. People often say, when Idina Menzel sang Let It Go, she should have chose a different key, because if the kids were going to be singing the song, it's too high for the kids, right? And a key is a set of notes in which all of the notes relate. And we've been talking about the key of C, and we'll talk about that a lot. So a key is basically just how all the notes are related, and it's all the notes that are related, right? So the notes are in the key, the notes are all related, and we're gonna build some chords and hopefully unlock some mysteries today. All right. And the truth is, this is incredibly important. Please, if I'm sure there's a time where you said, I don't want to watch this video lesson, and you said, I'm going to click off of this one. It would make sense that it would be scales, because scales sound incredibly boring, but they're incredibly important. And even if you're not doing this to necessarily play your scales fast, it will unlock so many musical things, that it's just a little bit will go a long way. So yeah, you don't need to be practicing these for hours, but just, be aware when you're kind of playing. Okay, so we're going to review. So we have, in the key of C, which are the sort of our big four, right? Our 1 chord, our 4 chord, our 5 chord, and our 6 chord. And again, they're in the key because they all relate to each other, right? They're all sort of related. They all go together, right? If something's in the key, it goes, into the key of C, right? So if you see our chart, I'm always so bad at pointing the opposite way, right? So we would have our C chord, right? And we're over playing these, but you'd have your. Should take my own tuning advice. All right, there we go. Sorry, new strings. All right, so we would have our C chord, which is our 1 chord in the key of C. We would have our F chord, which would be our 4 chord in the key of C. We would have our G chord, which would be our 5 chord in the key of C. And we would have our A minor chord, which would be our 6 chord. And we'll add 1. So we'd have our 1 chord in the key of C. F would be our 4 chord in the key of C. G would be our 5 chord in the key of C. And A minor would be our 6 chord in the key of C. And just let's review real quick. If we're thinking about the harmonic function, fancy words. Just click off now. I said harmonic function. Right. Basically, these chords tell a story, right? The 1 chord is home. Everything wants to go back to the 1. Everything wants to go back home. So 1. 4 is taking a trip. 5 is the chord that likes to really return back home. And 6 is basically the sad moment. So, right? Home, taking a trip, likes to go back home. And if you want a little bit of sadness, you add that 6 chord. So 1, 4, 5, 6, and 1. Right? So that's in the key of C, the big 4. So let's just remind how to play these. And again, this is designed for beginners, but certainly if you're an advanced ukulele player, you can certainly chime on in. We just drop something in the comments, and we'll get to those in a little bit. So key of C, we would have open, 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 3. And if this is the first time that you've been seeing this, the other live streams on how to do all these chords are still available. So, that's always good. So C, open, 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 and then 3rd fret on the bottom. And just a reminder, I'm a big fan of knowing where the roots are in every single chord, because that really unlocks a lot of power as well. So we have root on the C string. So let's see if we can get that a little closer. On the C string, and then root on the string closest to the floor, or our A string. So, right, C chord. All right, let's keep it moving. When we're playing our F chord, if we're using not an F add 9, that was a trick in one of the earlier videos, we can just go 2nd fret, open, 1st fret, and open. It's a little out of tune, but I don't think I'm going to attempt it anymore. And thinking about our roots, or root in this case, it only has 1. It's going to be right. So this one, it's an F chord, and this would be your F note. And as we talk about the scales today, you're going to start seeing some of those notes put into action, right? So if we're playing our F chord, there it is. That's always a good one to practice. I'll write our 5 chord in the key of C, or G, which is always the toughest of the big 4. So we're going to go open, 1st fret, 3rd fret, and 2nd fret. And I'm just building these from ceiling to the floor. So we have open on the string closest to the ceiling, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, and 2nd fret. Oh man, I am not playing my best tonight, and that's okay, right? Thinking about the roots, our roots would be on the open G string, and then the 2nd string closest to the floor, right? That 3rd fret. We'll be good for a live stream. And finally, A minor, which is just nice and easy. It's going to be our 6th chord in the key of C. So just 2nd fret, however you want to play it, and then open, open, open. So you get. All right, let's see. And then we would have our second fret would be a root, and our string closest to the floor, or our A string, would also be a root. Imagine that. The open A string is a root in the key of A minor. All right, so nice little review there. So we're going to talk about how to play a C scale. And I know what you might be thinking. How do you play that? It's, just a bunch of things at the same time. Obviously, you can't press everything down at the same time. But when you're playing a scale, what you're going to do is you're going to play them individually. So you would start with and we'll break this down. So it would be open on the C string, and then you would play second fret on the second or the second fret on the C string, and then we would have open on there, and then you would go up and down, and we'll build that, right? So we're not playing this as one big chord, although you could create some different chord patterns in there out of that scale. That's something actually eventually we'll talk about, but not today. But we're going to build it. Now, remember, it's a C scale, so it's important to know where our roots are. It's going to be this open C string right here. And then the third fret on the string closest to the floor, right? So also, if you notice, it's so much harder to press point left as I'm pointing right. If you think about a C chord, right, which would be open, open, open 3, you say, oh, those notes are in a C scale. Of course they're in a C scale, because the C chord is in the key, right, of C, which would be a C scale. More rambling than I would like to tonight, but that's okay. All right, so let's start building it. And on the top, I put the letter name. So when you're playing a C scale, the first one, now here's the thing, could you play the string closest to the ceiling? Absolutely. I recommend, this is just me, because that string is higher, if I'm playing scales, I'm probably not going to use it as much. I like using it in chords. I like using it in certain passages. But if I just want to shred up a scale, that's probably not one I'm going to use all that much, because I have the notes readily available. So I like it for chords. I don't like it. So that's why we're going to be starting on the open C string for this. And that's what I usually do for a lot of these scales. Also, this is the lowest note on the ukulele. So a good place to start, right? You're starting at the bottom note, working your way up, and then of course you can go down. So, all right, let's break it down. So we have open C string, which is going to be our C note, getting better at the pointing. You're then going to go to the second fret on that same string, right? So we have open, then you would have second. Then we're going to go to the next string. So we've already used the notes that we're going to use on the C string, right? So you don't need to play this one anymore as we're kind of building it up. So we're going to go to the open string, or on the second, open on the second string, which is going to be our E note. That's right. So there's our E note. Then going to the first fret on that same string. And of course, we'll practice a couple of times. So first fret, which is going to be our F letter name. Going to the third fret, which is going to be our G. And we're all on the same string. So if we look at this, we're going open, first fret, third fret. So let's do that one more time. So we have open, and then we have first fret, then we have third fret. So we're going to be going now to the string closest to the floor. Oop. Oh, no. G, H. Give me 2 seconds. Not everything loaded in. We'll be okay. Let's see. H. I have all these chronologically listed, and sometimes when I load them, not everything loads in. And occasionally I miss something, so E, F, G. Yep, there we go. Okay. Good. Sorry. Took me a second to load that back up. All right. So coming from here, now we're going to be on the string closest to the floor. So that's going to be open, going to the second fret which is going to be our B, and we'll go over this obviously again. And then finally to our C. Now, when you play this, you should get this. Right, so you get do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And of course, you're going do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. And I'm sure you've heard that before. You know, any movie with someone playing piano probably has them practicing their scales. But again, the building blocks. So let's build this one more time without the missing note. All right, so our C scale for reference, and obviously you can either pause the video or if someone, I mean, you could find this information, but if you really need this information, just drop it in the comments and I can just certainly give you a picture of a C major scale. But so we would have open, then we would have second, then we would have open, then we would have first, then we would have third, then we would have open, then we would have second, then we would have third fret. So open, 2, open, 1, 3, open, 2, 3. And of course you can play those down. And you can play these in different patterns. And of course you can go up and down. And again, just even kind of thinking about making sort of different chords, right, in the key. So let's build that one more time. Oh, where's the root? Excellent. All right, so open on the C string, second fret on the C string, open on the E string, first fret on the E string, third fret on the E string, open on the A string, open on the A string, I'm sorry, second on the A string, and third on the A string. And if we're thinking about the letter names, let's do that just one last time. So we would have open, or let's go with letters. So we'd have one more time, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C, right? So if you think about it, it's a C major scale, starts on C, ends on C. And also what's convenient about C is there's no sharps or flats. So that's always a good thing. So let's just talk about, because we've been talking about the key, right? Oh, the key of it and how does this all fit? And I'm sure you're saying, well, why is a C chord, an F chord, a G chord, and an A minor chord all in the same key? And well, the answer is, well, they share the same notes of the scale. And you're just gonna have to trust me on this. So just trust that I know what I'm doing, because you're gonna just gonna see stuff and go, yeah, I guess that sounds right. Let's see. So, right. So this would be our C scale, right? So we just said it. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And then of course we go back to the 1. So C. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Different ways you can think about it. So let's break down some of these chords that we've been using. And again, you're just gonna have to trust me on this. I've got enough years experience where you're just going to say, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. So if you look at a C chord, and this is why it's in the key of C, the notes in a C chord are going to be a C, E, and G. That's the notes in a C chord, which is in the C scale, right? C, E, G in a C chord, those notes are in a C scale. If you look at a G chord, we have G, B, and D are in a C chord. G, B, and D are also in a C scale, right? So that's why they go in the key of C, right? And again, and if you look at something like an A minor chord, I changed the font because, I don't know, something about not having minor capitalized bugged me out. You would have an A, a C, and an E. So if you think about it, it's like, okay, well, as an A, a C, and an E, that's an A minor chord. But is it in the same key? Absolutely, because it all has notes in the C scale. So scale and key are related. And just give me 2 seconds, because as we know, I did not do my due diligence. And I'm just going to upload one more, and then we'll kind of re-go over that. But there's a lot of power. There's a lot of power in these, just knowing scales, knowing keys, and understanding how they relate. Because again, if you want to make your own chords, if you want to improve your songwriting, just knowing a little bit of this absolutely is a major, 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 major help. Let's see, which one did I not put in? Let's see. C scale, chord breakdown. Okay, let's see. Was it the F chord? Yeah, I think it was the F chord. All right, so let's do that one more time. I'm going to break these down. And I'm sure some people are saying, well, I'm a little bit lost. If you're a little bit lost, just try to ask your best comment. And again, on YouTube Live, if you're checking in on Facebook, I cannot see the comments. I apologize. And anyone who happens to be checking it out on Twitch. So this is it. We look at a C chord. And the C chord has a, let's see if I can do some pointing. Oh, good. Has a C, an E, and a G, right? You play this, you're getting a C, E, and G, and one of those notes are doubled up, because we know that sometimes notes can be doubled up, and that's a good thing, right? So you have a C chord. Those are the notes. Those notes are in the C scale, right? They're in the key of C. You look at an F chord, which would have an F, an A, and a C. You play this. It's like out of tune. Apologize. Right? You have an F, you have an A, and you have a C. Those are notes in the key of C. They're contained in the C scale, right? They're in the same key. G would be G. Oops, wrong way. B and D, right? G, B, D. That's your G chord. Those are notes in the C scale. So they're in the same key, which is why they work so well together, right? And then final one of the big four. Sorry for the font change. Would be an A minor chord, right? Which would have an A, a C. Sorry, I'm always going the wrong way, and an E. So it has notes A, C, E that are in the C scale, the key of C, and that's why they're in the it's in the key, and that's why they're all related. So if you say, "Oh, that's in the key," that's what you're talking about. They all happen to share the same notes. It's it's really not all that complicated. All right, so super important information, and we could do a little bit of review, right? So review, you have the big four, key of C, and you're going to have your C scale, right? So right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And again, why is this important? And well, I mean, let's see. Let's bring up a little something. So we're in the key of C, and I know the first week we just kind of strummed through Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. All right. So if you look at this, okay, it's like the first time this thing's been in tune tonight. Not the instrument's fault, totally my fault. So we have the key of C, right? So we had F, C chord, F going to C, F going to C, going to G, going to C. And you say, okay, well, that's, all well and good, right? Makes sense, right? We'd have C chord going to F, going to C, F going to C, going to G, going to C. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. And you go, okay, well, that's all well and good. I learned how to play my chords. I learned how to sing it. Now, if you wanted to, you could start adding some scales on there, right? I may have been lost there for a second. I apologize. What is going on? If let me know if anyone in the comments, if you're watching, if I'm having any problem with the stream. It seems like I'm okay on my end. Yeah, for a second I got a spinny ball and I thought I lost you. Right. Anyway, let's keep forging on. Again, any questions, please ask me. I realize that some of you, this is total review, and you're like, okay, I get it, cool, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. And then some other people, I'm sure, saying, slow down, Mr. Crazy Man. Veronica Ann, thank you. You were, but you came back quick. Okay. All right. Thank you. Whew. Again, because I have no clue if I'm ever, kind of going, going totally, muted or something like that. So thank you, Veronica Am. All right. So again, we're talking about key of C, 4-chord, 1-chord, 4-chord, 1-chord, 5-chord going to 1. And again, now if you want to have a little bit of a different, right? Nice little scale down. Did like a French Inégales thing there, but right? So right, so you can put some scales in there. Also, and this is one of the biggest things, when you end up knowing your scale, the notes that you sing are usually not far behind. So when you go, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. I'm going to let you in a little secret. They're all in the key of C, and they're all in the key, the C scale. So if you know your C scale, all of a sudden you can understand what you're playing, and all of a sudden you wanted to kind of probably not key of C. That's the thing. We'll talk about changing key. You would not want to do a chord melody on the key. I guess you could do it in the key of C. Yeah, that's it. Right. Super easy chord melody. Anyway, so your goal this week is to learn your C scale. We'll go over that one last time, and it will absolutely help your musicianship, your songwriting, all that good stuff. All right, let's see. All right, one last time. And if any of this information is a little confusing, you can always put something in the comments after if you're watching on the post stream. Let's see, where is it? Oh, there we go. And also, most of this information, I'm trying to make this as linear, where if you watch the first one, most of the information, like I let you know when it's new information. So if you're not familiar with some of the stuff, it may have been from a previous stream. So C scale. So you'd have open on the C string, 2nd fret on the C string, moving sounds down a string, going open on to the E string, 1st fret on the E string, 3rd fret on the E string, open on the A string, 2nd fret on the B string, and then finally 3rd fret on the A string. And note-wise, we're thinking about it like this. Oop. Like that's the big one when you're just kind of practicing by yourself. And so it'd be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and finally C. Well, thank you for checking out the stream. Next week, I believe I'm going live, but it's going to have to be at a different time because I'm going to be watching the New York Giants hopefully draft the future of the NFL, of their NFL franchise, and I've been disappointed with the Giants in the last 5+ years. So I'll be checking out the draft party. But yeah, thanks for checking it out, and thanks for coming by and making some music with me. All right, later, everybody.